to Upstage Downstage with him, Richard Platt, seated in the upper circle.
And him, Stephen Rees, typically seated in the cheap seat.
This is the Theatre Podcast, where we discuss productions we've seen,
Things we've liked,
and may not have liked,
giving our complete unprofessional
and non-biased opinions.
So grab a brew,
Take a seat,
and let's raise that curtain.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing The Book Thief. We saw this production at Leicester Curve on the 6th of October 2023. A mesmerising new musical of Marcus Zusak's international best-selling novel, The Book Thief, is adapted by award-winning best-selling author Jodi Picoult and Timothy Allen MacDonald, with music and lyrics by Kate Anderson and Alyssa Samsel. So Richard, what's it all about?
The year, 1940. The place, Nazi Germany. The world is holding its breath and death is busier than ever. By her brother's graveside, 12-year-old Liesl steals a book abandoned in the snow, her first act of book thievery. Soon she's stealing from libraries, churches and book burnings, but these are dangerous times for a girl with a curious mind. When her foster family hides a Jewish boxer in the cellar, Liesl learns that words are so much more than letters on a page. They hold power. As the Nazi regime wields words as weapons, Liesl, determined to fight back, picks up her pen and starts to write.
But first, our post-show opinion!
A flawless and gripping production.
Captivating musical perfection.
So with all that said, let's
Set the scene!
Richard, we went to the Leicester Curve to see The Book Thief, which is actually in the intro. But I thought I'd say it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know...
You didn't say Leicestershire.
No. Oh, I keep saying that though, don't I?
You do, you really do.
So, set the scene.
Well, what can I say? I
Yeah,
can
what
say
can
quite a
you
lot,
say?
actually. We walked into the auditorium. First things first, this was a production we really did take a punt on, as in it was a last-minute ticket booking. I booked it the day before we went.
It was on our to-do list,
was
but it was one
definitely
of
on
them
the
where it
list.
was like, I can't remember. And to
I
be honest...
think it was more timing between us
It
two
was,
and actually
yes.
being in the right place at the right time, and it just
Yeah,
felt
we have been
right.
busy. But so glad we went to see this. Oh, little side note before we go. I've actually bought this book.
Yeah.
I remember it. And I haven't read it. I
No.
mean, I remember
You've got
buying
it.
the book. 2007, 08, 09, something like that. At Waterstones in Derby. Huge, thick book. I remember the cover. I bought it. Hardback. Never read it. But it didn't twig until afterwards when I saw it. I thought, I know this title somewhere. And yes, lo and behold, I've actually bought the book. But it was about... To be honest, the book is about... It's like one of the Harry Potters. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe you need to open your eyes a little bit and read a book. You know?
I might actually go and see if I can dig it out.
Yeah.
And show you.
I think you might need to.
I mean, I won't read it, 'cause I've seen it, but
Just dig it out.
I'll dig it out.
Dig it out.
Right, dig out the pictures and set the scene for our listening audience
I've
viewers.
done that. I'm already on it.
Oh, crack on then.
Okay, so really, I suppose the production was set in... It feels a little bit like a bit of a warehouse. The set is just very drab. It felt
Well, it's wooden, isn't it? Everything's made out
industrial.
of
It felt
wood.
industrial and wood, like a big wooden shed or a big wooden shack. It didn't really lead you into what was going to happen. There was a lot of walkways and things above the stage, but you couldn't really see everything. It was all done with big panelled wood set, really, that had got projections on it. It didn't really lead you down what was going to happen. You didn't really know what was going to happen until you actually got into the actual space, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose the set was more of like a back cloth, and then parts opened up and became embroiled in the story later on. But a lot of the things were wheeled on.
Or there'd be a
big
big warehouse door coming from the side of stage, and they'd shut. But actually, there was a smaller door that then depicted a grand house, but it was just using the door within that big screen, really.
Yes, because it was like Animal Farm when they had it on wheels at the top.
It was just like a real, almost like
and they moved it across.
farm building in a way, really. It felt that industrial sort of level.
Yes, quite a lot of those this year or last year.
Yeah, and then also what we saw in the onto stage right, there was another door that actually became Liesel's house where she lived. But at first it was nondescript, so you didn't realise there was a lit light with the number of the house in and stuff like that. At first, it just felt very, very subdued almost. So the cast then on stage actually they lit the stage up because they then became the focus of the production more than anything.
Yes, it was quite a nice rustic feel to it, and there was many areas as well. Like they had an upper level, which the kids often went up to talk about, well, various things, and there was another little section that came off, which looked like it was the entrance to something. Like it was like a bush shelter, but it wasn't, because it ended up being the walkway.
Yeah,
that was when it moved onto set. It sort of filled another space, and then it moved off again.
Yeah, and then it was also became the air raid shelter, and then the next bit.
Yes,
it became many things.
Because when she was reading a book,
and
that's
she
when
was
she was under it. Yeah.
And what they did was the projections were almost sketched projections of doorways and windows on the top half of the stage area. Yeah. So that actually, it felt like you were underground, because they created the space that the doorways were above that. So you'd got you felt like there was a difference.
Yes, and they then used that hallway with the window.
Yeah.
As the escape house for the Jewish lad trying to escape when the Nazis were coming in as well, and he was trying to get out, and the mother were trying to protect him.
Yeah, and then there was also halfway through where they literally opened the whole side of one of the back set pieces, where it actually became the the basement of the house they were living in Liesel's house.
That's correct. Yes,
and then there was an understairs bit built into that to actually show that they were coming downstairs and hiding underneath the house, basically.
It was quite similar to what we saw in Cluedo, where it was a door within a door.
Yeah, exactly.
So the main entrance door was embedded within the flat that opened up, which was attached to the actual.
And also in it was a lot of breakups of. I'd say the set wasn't fully boarded, so there was a lot of wood used, but it was natural wood that was giving breakup. So when light came through it actually shone through almost,
and dust coming through and rubble.
It felt authentic. It didn't feel. It felt like it had been there for a long time. It felt like there was an amount of age on stage for the actual. The set hadn't just been thrown up and that's it. I
think rustic is a really good word for this. It is, for the sort of barn-esque, wood-esque.
Nothing felt pristine. Everything felt like it had been aged well, even if a lot of the stuff that was made to look like metalwork was actually wooden, was made out of wood and actually just painted and made look metal-like, and it worked really well. Exactly,
because the balcony and the plinths, the pillars, they were quite Victorian-esque.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though they weren't in England, but they would have had that kind of
it's same sort of design style, European. Sort of,
very grand and detailed.
Yeah,
so they're quite good. So that is basically the scene, and it just kept progressing whenever it needed to. Other things got moved on. Like if it turned into a pub, there'll be like a huge, like the benches you see in Oktoberfest and stuff. It was a huge one of those.
And there was also little accents of bookcases and things within the staging.
Oh, of course, because it turned into a library, didn't it?
Yeah, but you couldn't really see it even until it was lit. It was like just there in the background. It was like the hint of bookcases and things.
However, when the balcony came out and the staircases were put in the position,
place,
yes, this was when they put a screen down to resemble the outside or something. When the two women were talking and they were walking past about doing the woman's washing, and she said to Liesel, "Or come in to pick a book" or something like that.
Yeah,
that's when she noticed all the other people were in there, and it did look like one of those huge like libraries where you got the turning staircases and books everywhere because the projected
space
lights
that everything else has been in, and all of a sudden it became this grand
Gothic-esque.
gothic hidden bookcase area that was like,
like a Book of Dreams.
yeah, really was.
It was a lovely set. A really lovely set.
Definitely.
Now let's turn to the writing and we'll start with the writing actually.
Yeah.
So this was adapted by Marcus's book by Jodie Picoult. I know her because my sister reads a lot of her books, and she's a good writer. But I don't know. I'm not quite aware of Timothy.
No, I mean,
Allen.
I'm not either.
However, he might be. I suppose we ought to really research this. He might be the scriptwriter, but I don't think Jodie has written a stage script, although she's a great novelist. So whether he's, I'm just theorising. We probably ought to factualise this. However, when we did Marigold Hotel, and I thought the writer of that just didn't understand stagecraft.
Yes.
It was very much post-it note each scene. This felt like it was perfect for the stage, like it was scripted specifically with knowing how to use the stage.
And also knowing the limitations of the stage.
Yes.
Because that's just as important as knowing how to use it.
Yes.
You've got this black box and a space that you can use, but knowing the limitations of the venue you're doing it in and how you could potentially, because at the end of the day, this is a new musical. If this transferred somewhere else, you need to be able to transport this whole production and put it on somewhere else. It's how you've got to think of that whole process,
but also how it was staged. That could be just as much the director's point of view as well. Maybe I'm being probably a bit too generous on the script. I don't know, but the words, the dialogue, the actual script, and the story in the book, and the musical lyrics and everything was perfect. It just told.
And I feel it was done with so much restraint. As a writing team and a directing team, however they've done it, I felt like they restrained themselves to being really specific on what they were going to do, and they you could tell there was a confidence and control about it that made they knew how it was going to they knew the vision, and you could tell that it was written in that way.
Very reminiscent to me, for me to think of like the ocean at the end of the lane.
Yeah, definitely.
Or the driveway.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Ocean at the end of the pit. No, it was really, theatrically, it was just on point as well.
Yeah.
With the dialogue and the actual telling of the story.
Yeah.
Because you have the narrative.
The
narrator who was
basically
the original book thief.
Death.
The Death, yes. Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that, but
I think it was important that you could tell that however they put it together, they'd thought about the transitions from one scene to another, and not going over the top with script where it's script heavy, but you learn a lot in all of those scenes. You progressed really confidently through the whole piece. It felt like they'd done justice to the book. I mean, I've not read it myself, but I felt like I learned a lot from the production.
We could probably read it if I could find it.
Yeah, could be. But I think it's very difficult to get everything from a book into a production, because there's so much that's written in a book compared to what's being put on, especially
Obviously,
to turn it into a musical, because there won't be any songs necessarily written in the book either. So, but to still get the content in and get you could tell what was happening, you don't just want to rely on a narrator. You need the actual families or the cast to actually drive the story as well.
And also to add that, the subplots and the little character details, like the other woman begrudging the other woman because they had a falling out, and every time they met, they were given like slanging matches. You had the father who had to go to serve in the army.
For his country,
and the other guy who had the boy, the boy, them not wanting him to go into like the Hitler Youth as well.
Exactly.
All the characters on there, they all had characterization set and a good storyline. That no one was like forgotten.
And it was like the dynamic between the two women that is very reminiscent of two women in this country, as in there's always a bit of
it's relatable, isn't it?
It's very relatable to. You instantly saw the dynamic, and you got that this is they really, they almost always get on with each other, but
Even in
secretly,
wartime,
even in wartime,
people are being
just-
petty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That was quite.
Yeah.
It gives a little humorous
yeah,
tone to the whole situation.
yeah, because it can be quite a serious subject, and to not have the dynamics of actually underneath everything that was going off, there was still families trying to live and
Survive, yeah, but doing the washing or doing
Exactly.
this and the other. The storyline of I was going to say Billy, no, the wrestler, the boxer.
Boxer, yeah,
Well, obviously he was a Jew that they were hiding,
yeah,
and he was just it was Max. That was it.
yeah, Max.
He was just brilliantly his storyline felt like it was. You followed it, but it wasn't. It wasn't so much about him, although it was about
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
It was about her witnessing him, or
Yeah.
through her eyes. I
Yeah.
think we saw
Yeah,
his
definitely.
life,
Yeah.
and so there was a bit of a distance there that made it work
Yeah, definitely. It was
because you felt everything for him.
there was a little bit of unknown, and you sort of he dipped in and out of the production in such a way that you wanted to know more because he wasn't always there, and it was like there was like what where's he going to end up next, or
Yeah, what will become of him? Obviously, there was like that sisterly, brotherly.
yeah.
They weren't, but they were forging that relationship.
Yeah, it was
and
like
that bond.
it was the like the relationship of non-related siblings that they bonded because they were both single children who hadn't got that like big brother or younger sister to bounce off almost.
And I think even the parents, they lost a child, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it's all about, I suppose, finding the
It's
belonging.
about precious moments as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but they all gave, they all had in the writing something good to go for. There was a reason. So it was all strong.
And it also showed that regardless of religion, regardless of any sort of issues with things on the outside world, as a core of a family, they all supported each other and tried to find some form of calm or peace when they could. Even though they were in times of real horrible moments.
In terms of the directing, how did you feel it was served?
This was a masterclass, and I don't lie, I'd use it a few times, but you could tell that it must have been a lot of work and a lot because there's so much happening in this production, and the production, the cast have got to listen to the directors and the director and take in that this is going to work and this is how it's going to happen, because it was phenomenal, really.
It was bold, it was confident.
Yeah.
This was a dish best served piping hot.
Oh god, yeah,
this
totally.
It was on fire.
But it was also that there was so many moments of calm, or there was so many times where actually, yes, there was so much happening, and then all of a sudden we'd bring it back to some sweet moments, and then it'd go back to being crazy again. It just had that. It had that dynamic of you felt like there was a lot of control by the director to make sure that wasn't lost.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot with this sort of big production, especially when you're working with children as well. In the production, we'll talk about that more when we talk about the cast. But I think it's using that your tools in the toolbox to make sure that everything's comes together, and it just felt like you could tell that everybody was working together on this.
Yes.
You didn't feel like there was any internal struggle as a production company. You could tell there was no.
It didn't feel lost.
No,
it felt
not at
like
all.
it knew what it was doing. It had
Yeah.
confidence. It had everything all set up.
Yeah, totally.
So
agree.
this is how we're going to do it. I suppose it's just confidence.
It was in really good
Really.
hands. That's
Yes,
what it felt like.
It definitely was. What I was going to compare it to was the production of Titanic that we saw, because I was thinking the very first scene, they pretty much similarly came on with suitcases.
Yeah.
This one was, and I was thinking, did that happen in this one or was it Titanic? But I think
Yeah.
it was both. However, this had a storyline where the characters we follow, we knew it was that family. It was basically the little girl.
Yeah.
So we knew that, even though it had a narrator, and even though it was also about Max.
Yeah.
And him being the Jew, and also the fact that there was a lot of things going on in the background with all these other characters. We could follow them as well.
Yeah.
We knew what was up with them. Now, in terms of relating that to Titanic, that was a hot mess with everything going on at the same time.
Yeah, and
you didn't know who you were following.
No, and you couldn't see the core of the storyline either. You didn't know
it was just a.
It just went.
It all went grey and beige.
All over the place, and you didn't particularly care for the characters.
No.
Whereas in this, you were invested.
Yes.
You wanted to follow them.
And each scene, something special, something different happened with the set.
Yeah,
there was
exactly.
something new to look at, something special to witness. Whereas Titanic, it was just, we're just going to shift the ladders here, there, and everywhere.
And you could also tell that certain bits of the set and things in the scenery were held back for certain moments, so they had that impact. You know, that's also from a director's perspective. It's you've got to make the cast aware that you can't. Everything can't happen at once because it's waste. It's like got to feel like you're opening a pop-up Christmas card that's got so many different things, or it's a little bit like
It's your selection box analogy, isn't it?
But it's also like the postman book when you were a kid, with the one with all the little envelopes in and all the extra little messages and notes and things that you find as you go through it. There's more to find out throughout then, and
Is that another analogy?
it is another analogy.
Couldn't we just stick to your selection box?
It's a selection box, yeah. There's the thing for me.
Another layer?
Yeah, that's what I'd say. There's another layer underneath with another lot of chocolates, and you're like, well, there's more to find,
And also, it had a stylistic approach on this one as well.
Yeah.
With the use of the lighting and the books lighting up.
Yeah.
And we saw that in Heathers
And then
as well, didn't we?
puppetry as well.
The puppetry, yes. Yes, so to add puppetry in the mix as well, that's when it becomes sort of... what did you say? Avant-garde?
Yeah,
Or
it was
a bit stylistic.
It was
a bit
very
different?
contemporary, and it turned the corner from being something that was a production that it went bigger than what
it
you
was
expected.
elevated to the next level of sophistication.
Yeah, it really did. It really did, because it brought in the elements that were almost fantasy-like. Like you said about Ocean at the End of the Lane, it's very almost surreal.
Fiction.
It's a bit of surrealness that you need to paint more of a picture to make to finish the picture. Really.
Yes, and I suppose it's one of those things where if it could happen in the book, they could add to it.
Yeah.
On the stage as well.
Yeah, and
so
I think
with the puppets, that could be just a storybook.
Yeah, and the best writers are those that write books where you actually feel you paint the picture in your head while you're reading the book, and I think that's what this felt like from page
you mean
to
a colouring
stage.
book?
Well, yeah, but when they talk about places and spaces and things that you travel round and go to, you read them and you imagine that person when you're reading the book doing that. And I think that's what they did from this. You talk about page to stage, and what they did, they brought those fantasy elements in such a clever way that you could see that. You felt like it was your mind playing out what you potentially see, I think.
Yeah. No, that was a good ramble into your...
Got there in the end.
Yes.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say, we're
Here
for the drama.
Now then, let's talk about the actors.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wasn't Liesl amazing?
I don't have words for how good Liesl was.
She was great. And
I think...
was it Preston Crop?
I think we saw... was it Irene?
Yes, it was.
Let's go.
Yes, we saw Irene Lusko as Liesl.
She has got a career ahead of her in theatre that I don't think she realises herself, because her stage presence at her age was brilliant.
She might know that.
Well, yeah, but I don't think
after this it'll be like, I've got it.
You've got it. Yeah, exactly.
I've got it.
Well, I
Amy
hope so.
Moore.
I mean, but because she has got it,
Well, she stole
without a
it.
doubt. And
She's a
Preston
thief.
Crop as Rudy, he was brilliant.
He was, yes. All those nuances of wanting to kiss her and be that like little child, little boy and stuff. It's they were so sweet together.
But not just that,
worked.
their connection. It felt they genuinely were those kids that grow up at school and they know each other well. It didn't feel like they'd just come straight from a drama school and they're just reading the lines. They felt like the characters. They've learned a lot from this production, I feel.
Yes. I think Jack Lord, he was quite a strong performer as well as the father Hans. But again, Anwar was just amazing as Rosa. And I didn't know she could sing.
No, we didn't even know she was in it until we sat there.
To be honest, I completely forgot.
We both sat there, we're like,
oh my God.
Thin Blue Line.
It's Officer Habib.
She's on stage on the front row.
Yes, I mean, it's not like I expected Inspector Goody. Not Inspector Goody. Officer Goody.
Yeah, exactly. But I think
it's
just the whole cast. I mean, Obioma Agolo, I mean, as Death himself, as the narrator, he held it all together with such confidence and class. I mean, I didn't realise, I walked past him outside when we walked into the room because he was stood waiting to go on, and I just saw him come out of one of the doors. I didn't realise it was him, and he was just confidently waiting outside the stage to go on.
Did you ask him, what seat are you sat at?
Yeah, it's like, what's your seat number?
Do you mind if I go first?
Yeah. And then when he walks on stage, I was like, yeah, wow. And I think all of the characters were really... Everybody on stage played a perfect role, really.
Well, Daniel Cricklet as Max was just outstanding.
Yeah.
The energy and also the torment and the fear.
Yeah, exactly.
The raw emotions and everything that he brought to it was just... it was just a joy to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like it was like I'm getting my kicks out of watching this.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It was more... His performance was just vivid and excellent. And to be honest, I suppose the other one that did stick out was the lady with who was the other woman doing the washing. She was doing the washing, but she wasn't the one that had a lot of money.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
The one that Mina was arguing with, was it Wendy Somerville?
It might have been.
Was it Karina?
Wendy was the well-to-do lady with the books.
She was, yes. Wendy was the one.
I was going to bring mention to Katie Clayton, who was Liesel's mother. It was quite interesting because she didn't face much. She didn't really spend much time as Liesel's mother because she disappeared and she passed away. However, this may be a direction thing and a writing thing, but every time there was a scene change involving Liesel, her mum was involved in that scene change in the behind. If she was moving a piece of furniture, and she was always the one near Liesel, and it was really clever, a clever like little nod to like there's always the ghost of the mum around,
the remains.
and it was really, it's not really, we can't really bring it up anywhere else, but I thought it was really clever.
It was a good one to bring up. The whole cast was just excellent in their portrayals of their characters. The singing and the acting was just amazing.
You could feel that they'd all gelled really well as a team, and it isn't an easy thing to do. They'd all obviously spent a lot of time together, and from what I actually looked at, I looked at some when I was walking in the curve as well. There was some parts of the theatre that were blocked out for rehearsals with the other children that were involved in the production, because this did have 3 sets of the boy and the girl characters, Liesel and Rudy. So the cast must have in the daytime been rehearsing with them, which can only help increase their interactions as a company, because they've got to spend time with each other a lot more. So that probably is a great asset to this production, to make sure that it actually they all gel when they're on stage. Yeah.
Right, let's talk about the props and the costumes.
Yeah.
This was very much the heavy use of, I suppose, mid to light use of props and costume of the era of the 1940s.
Yeah, it was it was almost minimal, but then maximized in some maximal, minimal. It was minimal most of the time, and then all of a sudden they would have a lot of something. So it was like only when it was needed. I think that was.
And there was nothing out of place. Nothing. No. There was no flares.
No, and it was no flares.
There was no flares. There was no.
Well, I suppose it's like Liesel's house that she lived in with her adopted parents. It was clearly they lived a very low cost
Simplistic.
life, simple life. They didn't have a lot, but it was only depicted by a sideboard with some shelves on it with some items, and then very very simple chairs and very simple things in life. So but it was enough. It did the job. And the overall look was quite sepia. There was nothing very bright and colourful. It was always
This is very
pastels
true,
and-
isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think that's done for a specific reason, a stylistic
I think
tone?
as well, because then when you get the scenes where they are quite fantastical, they looked very different. The actual,
contrasting.
even though even those were subdued, but the colour use worked. That it just made that part of the production like stand out really.
Yeah.
And I think costume was all very apt and all very of the time. It was all very 40s, because I think that's the
Yeah,
era.
1940.
So
yeah.
it's well, it will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say,
What the tech is this?
It relied heavily on PowerPoint. Not PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Yeah, Microsoft produced this production.
Yeah, there were other softwares available.
Yeah,
What do you call it? Projections. I knew it
Projections,
began
yeah.
with a P.
yeah, but it was projections done in a way that it
never been
didn't
done before?
distract. It didn't. Well, no, we're not saying it didn't. It never been done before, but I think I've seen some productions where I've just recently seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and my God, there was overuse of projections to the point of no set or scenery, and just filling the gaps with computer generated images that just felt completely stripped away from actually the glory that is really well done projections. It's like it felt lazy compared to this. This felt like they'd thought so much about the use of it, but not overuse, because it wasn't always being used.
Well, it never stuck out.
No, it didn't.
It helped and assisted with the individual scenes.
And there was no real projection screens or white backgrounds for it to be projected on. It was just projected onto the set. So it was mapped across the scenes so that it just felt like the whole set had been painted, but it didn't avert your eyes from the production. It was just it just reinforced that scene really, and I think that helped paint the picture.
And also the use of the lighting,
Yeah.
Different colours for different moods.
Yeah, I mean there was some. Like when I said about colour use earlier, in the book scene when the books are actually being heavily used, there's a lot of blue in this. This was it was almost a royal blue to show that it was a royal a library that had so much history in there as well.
To me, it looked cold and disused.
Yeah.
And like secretive as well.
Yeah.
Like everything had been abandoned.
Yeah, I think the whole look of the production showed that the struggle that people in Germany were going through when people were being taken from their families to actually fight for something, even if they didn't want to.
Yeah, because a lot of people forget that there was casualties on that side as well.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people not wanting to agree with it or didn't think it was right.
Yeah, I suppose this production shows that that's what was happening. The evidence and records were being destroyed to rewrite history, and that to hide the struggles that people went through. And it's a very clever take on a story that we've all heard a lot about. And I think this shows a different side to the struggles family face.
And also, it picked up on the fact that some of the Germans that went off to war that didn't want to. They had to drink an awful lot of alcohol just to wipe out what the atrocities.
What they were being put through.
Yeah, and that was like unforgivable.
There was. It's just horrendous to think of what people were basically pulled from their families to do, or they wouldn't be here today as well. They had a gun behind their heads as well.
On a positive note, which is slightly ironic, it's good that we never actually saw the worst side of it, because we didn't need to.
No,
we know
exactly.
it.
No,
we don't
exactly.
have to relive that.
Yeah. They showed enough. They showed.
Well, they highlighted it.
Yeah, they highlighted.
But what I would say is, whenever they did that whole Heil Hitler thing, my mind just kept going to hello, hello. I was just waiting for Sam Kelly or someone to just go, like, when they say Heil Hitler, and then go, Fleur, right at the end each time. It was, it's terrible when you get brainwashed by comedy. You just see everything through a comedy funny lens, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't take anything like that seriously. Whenever I see like a war film and they do like Hitler, it's like alert right at the back. But yeah, this was very.
I think it's very interesting.
Sound effects. We've not. We're just thinking about
Yeah.
sound.
I mean, sound effects wise, it was just great. I mean, everything. It's hard when you say something's great when it's actually
Yeah, because you're not going into too much detail either. You're not saying what's great.
No, I think, but I suppose when I say great, I think it's more the fact that it felt like it reinforced everything, and.
But what sound effects though? Because I can't remember sound effects. Were the gunshots?
Yeah, there was.
Were there?
Yeah, but there was off stage sound, so there was things that were like, just to add to the terror of the things that people were doing. With there's bombs going off, there was things like that where it felt when they were in the air raid shelter and things were going off above them and stuff like that. It still felt real, and when you say great, it's not great to hear those sort of sounds, but it felt really powerful, and I think that's it added to the production. I suppose we've not really talked about the songs, but this is a production almost like...
I completely forgot it was a musical.
Yeah, I think it's everything sat within the story, and
it's one of them where I suppose it's like Blood Brothers.
Yeah, it is.
There's songs when it needed to, but the rest was dialogue.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
of an actual.
This is more of a dramatic performance with songs within it.
Yes.
And there was some talented musicians on stage as well. You've got people who were playing. The father was playing an accordion within the production, stuff like that. And I think that helped.
Well, it does happen. Actors can sing and play and act.
But it's nice to see that they just put it within the production and
that's probably why that got cast.
Maybe, yeah.
And
that's why it's hard to sort of say the technical aspect. You don't want to pinpoint some things when everything all merged together and became one great thing. And it was like the colour use. They used a lot of red and things like that when they had the puppet of Hitler and things like that towards the end to show that. But all of that was held back right till the end. And it was like, that was when they started using puppetry and things. Yes. And that's when it became a little surreal in a good way because it felt...
But they made the puppets out of the discarded newspapers and the books.
Yes, they did. Because that was
a lovely theme.
And it was a lovely theme because it also linked to a puppet that was made by Max as well. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and the puppets became part of it even more.
Yeah, because she was writing her own story out of the blank pages because they used Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
He had the book.
And they used it as a communication tool almost.
But painted it white to rewrite the pages, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, definitely.
And now it's time for
Rewind Rewatch.
Rewind Rewatch, Richard. What would you watch again?
Oh, the whole thing. Just bring it on.
Oh.
Well, I think it was something that you could watch again and pick bits out of that you didn't see the first time round.
Yeah, another one where I agree with you, actually. I think anything with Mina Answar in it, those scenes were just wonderful because I just love her.
Yeah.
She's still my Inspector Habib from
agree.
Blue Line. But no, I just have to watch it all because every scene was just gripping and entertaining and... Oh, yes. No, it was a lovely piece of theatre, so I'd rewind and watch it all again. In fact, when's the next showing?
Yeah, bring it on.
Moving on to our final segment, as we say...
Call this a show?
So let's sum up this wonderful play, which we've both really enjoyed. What are your final points to this?
I think it's a production that I won't forget because it was so well done and so well put together that it will be one of those that I remember quite a lot. Through every part of it was a masterpiece, and a little bit like Billy Elliot when they redid that at the Leicester Curve. They pulled that off with a real complete contrast style to this, but equally they put the right level of work in to create the piece of theatre that they've done. So hats off to them.
Yes, this is just a fantastic piece of theatre. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a spectacle. It's a brilliant... it's sort of up there with Ocean at the End of the Lane and Drive Your Plough into the Bones of the Dead, or whatever that was called.
Yeah.
Complicité, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That did that one.
Yeah, it was.
This really is a top 10 out of 10, 5-star. I need to come and see this again.
Yeah.
Just to get it sunk in there.
Totally, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
at first
there's so much to take in one
there's a
viewing.
lot going on that I really enjoyed it, and I'd urge people to go and see this again.
Yeah, I hope it's got plans to resurface, because it wouldn't surprise me. Because there's a lot. There was from what I hear, it did well. So
Well, it definitely did well in my book.
Yeah.
And I've still got the book.
Yeah, you have.
No one's stolen it from me.
No.
Not even Liesl. Scores them, please, Richard, for The Book Thief. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best musical book about a book thief that's worth stealing yourself, and 1 being about a book that the book thief should have actually left burning. A scale of 1 to 10, what's it going to be?
10 out of 10. Let's face it, I can't give it any less.
Exactly, it was a 10 out of 10 for me. So, what sound effect will you be choosing from the following? A complete train wreck? Tumbleweed? An audible shrug of the shoulders? A slow clap? A pleasant applause? Or a standing ovation? What will it be?
Standing ovation.
That's it. Because we did.
Oh, we really did.
We really did. Well deserved.
Totally. I'm just so glad I was on the front row, because wow.
Oh, amazing. So there we are. That's our discussion of The Book Thief. We hope you found it insightful.
If not, entertaining.
Stay tuned as we bring you more of our thoughts
and opinions
on many theatrical delights in future episodes.
If you'd like to get in touch, email us at upstagedownsstagepod@gmail.com. You can always join in the chat to share with us your views of a production.
Also, make sure to follow, share, like and subscribe to all our channels so you get every episode the second it's released. And we hope you join us again for another instalment of
Upstage Downstage.
We saw this production at Leicester Curve.
Leicester.
Shit, why do I keep doing that?
You always do it.
We saw this production at Leicester Curve on the...
On the 5th.
We saw this production at Leicester Curve. Alessa Samsel.
Alyssa.
What did I say?
Alessa.
Shit.
By her brother's graveside, 12-year-old Liesl steals a book, abandoned... By her brother's graveside, 12-year-old Liesl steals a book abandoned... I can't go. Come on. I need to pause. Liesl learns that words are so much more than letters on a page. Liesl learns that words are so much... Oh, come on. Liesl learns that words are so much more than letters on a page. I'm hesitating. Well, I don't need to be. As the Nazi regime wields words as weapons, Liesl...
On a scale of 1 to 10 with what... Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Scores them, please, Richard, for The Book Thief. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best musical book about a book thief. Richard scores them, please, for The Book Thief. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being... Oh, which one is it? Oh. With 1 being... No, it's... Which is it? 1 first or 10? It's 1 first.
It's 1 first because it's 10 because that's when you did pants. You know.
You did pants. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being a book that book, with 1 being the book. No, with 1 being.
Is it 10? Oh, sorry.
No, it's 1 to. On a scale of 1 to 10, with. Oh shit. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best musical book of it.
Book of thief.
With 10 being the best musical book about a book thief that's worth thieving yourself, and 1 being. And 1 being a book that the book thief should have left burning. Can I do that one again?
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best musical book about a book thief that's worth a book that the book thief should have actually burnt. With 1 being about a book, with 1 being about a book. Shut up. I'm sure I've recorded that. I'm sure it's fine.
I'll be more. Oh, is it? I can't say it.
Obioma. Ugola.
Obioma Agola.
Obioma in a minute.
Obioma. I can't walk it. Why am I saying woo woo?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, go for it.